Hi everybody, Dr. Carolyn Coker Ross. Today I'm going to be talking about debunking myths and false narratives of intergenerational trauma. So, just like any concept, there are myths that grow up around it. So, let's talk about how stories are formed, how family narratives are shaped by various factors. Like how does that even happen? Well, first is by direct experience. Those who directly experienced, for example, a traumatic event will naturally shape the narrative because they had the experience. They may also minimize the severity. They may blame other people or blame themselves, or they may create kind of a heroic narrative to cope. The second way these narratives are formed is through family dynamics, and that's like family secrets, unspoken truths, and cultural silences, all of which can influence how trauma is discussed, or even whether it's discussed or acknowledged at all. The third way is through cultural context. So the prevailing cultural attitudes, for example, towards mental health, trauma, and open communication about emotions, for example, can significantly impact the narrative. So these factors are all about how we form the stories of the events that happen to us. And there are several types of narratives or stories that can occur. One narrative is silence and denial. And in this narrative, there's minimization or complete avoidance of the traumatic event. It never happened. It didn't happen to me. It doesn't matter. It's no big deal. Those are all things I've heard throughout my career. And it may protect immediate family members. So if a perpetrator was within your family, that could be a way of protecting them. But it can also perpetuate trauma across generations because you never get help because you're in denial. The second type of narrative is victim blaming, and this narrative assigns blame to the victim of the trauma, often implying that they were too weak or they made poor choices, such as women who are raped after they've been drinking. Sometimes police in the past have blamed them for drinking, and that's why they got raped. Third narrative, the heroic narrative, and these narratives focus on the strength and resilience of those who survived the trauma. I mean, that's great, but it could also potentially neglect the lasting effects of the trauma. So important to know. And then there are intergenerational narratives of resilience. Now, these narratives they acknowledge the trauma, but also emphasize that strength passed down from generations were empowering for them, and that's how they were able to overcome the experience. Now, there's a double-edged sword of hiding and healing trauma. So intergenerational trauma and the enduring effects of traumatic experiences passed down through families, it's complex, and it has significant impacts on mental health and well-being. However, navigating the intricacies of this concept is often clouded by myths and misconceptions and harmful narratives, as we've spoken of just a moment ago. So let's look at some of the myths surrounding intergenerational trauma, particularly those that perpetuate victim blaming and hinder healing. Myth number one, it's all in your head. You just need to get over it. That's a really common one. This is very dismissive. It fails to acknowledge the profound and lasting effects of trauma. So traumatic experiences, especially those experienced in childhood, can have a significant impact on the brain's development, the nervous system, emotional regulation, and so on. And the effects can then permeate multiple generations, creating a cycle of emotional regulation, hypervigilance, and unhealthy coping mechanisms. Now, myth number two is only direct victims experience trauma, and that's totally untrue. Intergenerational trauma doesn't solely impact those who directly experience the traumatic event. The effects of intergenerational trauma, of witnessing the pain and suffering of loved ones, living in the aftermath of trauma, and carrying the burden of unspoken family secrets can be profoundly impactful. And this is particularly true of children who are vulnerable to the emotional states of their caregivers. And if they are exposed to high stress over a long period of time, it can negatively affect their development. Myth number 3: weak people are the ones who pass down the trauma. This is another victim blaming narrative that implies that individuals with strong character can simply overcome the effects of trauma. Well, trauma is not a reflection of personal weakness, it's a natural response to overwhelming events. And the ability to cope and heal varies, and survivors deserve compassion, not judgment. Myth number 4: trauma should be easy to identify. Well, the effects of intergenerational trauma can manifest in so many different ways. Some individuals can struggle with anxiety, depression, the things we've talked about, substance abuse, eating disorders, etc. Others might exhibit hypervigilance, difficulty forming relationships, or a tendency to constantly repeat unhealthy patterns. Recognizing the subtle signs and seeking professional help is crucial for breaking this cycle. Myth number 5: talking about the trauma just makes it worse. Boy, I have heard that one many times. Openly acknowledging and discussing family history can be a powerful tool for healing. You can share stories, you can validate someone's experience, you can seek support, and help individuals understand the source of their struggles and move towards healthier coping mechanisms. However, this process should be approached with caution. If there are concerns about safety or re traumatization, professional guidance is really, really essential. Myth number 6: it's too late to heal. It happened so long ago, you can't heal. Well, healing from intergenerational trauma is a lifelong journey with no set timeline. Regardless of how much time has passed, you can learn new coping mechanisms. You can build resilience, and you can break free from the cycle of trauma. Therapy, support groups, mindfulness practices can all be very helpful resources in this process. So, what can you do? That's always the question. What can we do? Well, first of all, you can reclaim your own narrative. Identify your family strengths or your strengths. Look for stories in your family history that highlight resilience, courage, and the ability to overcome adversity. These stories can be very empowering by reframing the story, rewriting the family narrative to acknowledge the trauma while still focusing on healing and focusing on strength and resilience that was displayed in the aftermath of the trauma. It can also be helpful to create your own narrative. Write your own story about how you are overcoming the effects of intergenerational trauma. And focus on your personal growth and strength. Breaking the chains is very important. And here are some resources that can help. If you're struggling with intergenerational trauma effects, know that you're not alone. Here are some resources that can provide support and guidance. First of all, the National Center for PTSD, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. And I'll put up on the screen the links to these places or in the show notes. The American Psychological Association also provides resources, and then the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI. Additionally, as I've said many times, journaling can be a helpful tool in healing intergenerational trauma and exploring your thoughts and feelings about the family narrative. As well, any kind of creative expression, whether it be art therapy, music therapy, or other creative outlets to explore your emotions, and experiences. Thirdly, genealogy. In a previous video, we talked about doing a family tree so that you can research your family history and get a deeper understanding of past events and the context of the trauma. Remember this is a journey, not a destination. By actively engaging with your family, if that's appropriate for you, if not, actively engaging with the family stories, the family narrative, you can break the cycle of trauma and build a stronger, healthier future for yourself and your loved ones. Just work on dismantling those myths surrounding intergenerational trauma and fostering open communication. That's what's important. That's what helps families heal and break free from these destructive cycles. Okay, I'd like to do a meditation to help with the healing process from intergenerational trauma. So as usual, find a comfortable place to sit. Put your feet flat on the floor. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. If not, just pick a spot in front of you and soften your gaze. Start to take a few deep cleansing breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again. And one last time. And just allow yourself to relax, let your body feel heavy in the chair. Imagine yourself rooted to the center of the earth, drawing strength and stability from the earth's core. Now envision a beautiful bright light emanating from you, and this light represents your resilience, your ancestral gift to you of resilience. Now notice any negative emotions or thoughts about your family narrative or history, and acknowledge them without judgment, and then release them into the golden light to be transformed. Focus on some positive qualities that run deep in your family. Perhaps it's courage, passion, perseverance. Allow these strengths to radiate outward, filling your body with warmth and confidence. Feel the golden light expanding. Send love and understanding and hope for healing to anyone in your family that you feel comfortable doing that with. Just continue to see if you can get in touch with the strengths within yourself and within your family. Allow that golden light to move from the tips of your toes up into your feet, and feel it like a wave moving into your ankles, your legs, your knees, your thighs, up into your pelvis, your abdomen, and feel that beautiful golden light moving into your lower back, your chest, your upper back, out your arms to the tips of your fingers, into your neck, the back of your head, your face, your jaw. And as that golden light spreads throughout your body, just imagine your body relaxing and releasing any fear, any distrust, any judgment. Just allow that to be released back into the center of the earth where it can be transformed. Feel your body becoming completely relaxed. Feel as if it's heavy and at peace. Breathe into that peace, and as you exhale, release any more discomfort, dis-ease, any burden you've been carrying. Just release it down into the center of the earth. Inhale calm, exhale pain. One more deep breath. Inhale your own resilience and just allow it to permeate every cell of your body. Exhale resistance. Exhale fear. Exhale distress. Feel that golden light tingling with resilience in every cell, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. And enjoy that sense of peace and calmness. Slowly bring yourself back to the room where you're sitting. And open your eyes when you're ready. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.